7:32 p.m. On 4/15/2025. I'm opening the Boxborough Zoning Board of Appeals meeting. And on the agenda, first item is the minutes for March 18th, 2025. And I should take a roll call. I'm getting a little ahead of myself. So present, the board members present at the meeting, please acknowledge when I call your name. Mark White.
White present.
Stefano Caprera.
Stefano Caprera present.
Sean McCormick.
McCormick present.
Than Stuntz. Than, can you hear me? You can unmute maybe.
Dan, can you hear us?
I don't think he can hear us.
I think
I can hear you. Can you not hear me? Can you hear me?
Yeah, we heard you, but we can't see you moving.
That's weird. Oh, there you go. All right, so Than is here.
Okay.
Oh, we may have lost him. And Michael Toops.
Michael Toops present.
Okay, thanks. Okay, so we're all here. So and we can review the minutes. Alec, would you mind putting the minutes up?
Stunts is here. I don't know if I came through the first time.
Yeah, we got you.
Does anybody have amendments for the minutes?
Nope.
Okay, well, I do. This one's personal. Line 49. That's Chair Barbadoro, not Chair White.
Yeah.
So other than that, I actually did make the comment. So the comment is attributable to me, but the name was wrong. So they didn't even use the first name and got it wrong. That was weird. But okay, anybody else have any amendments? I'm hearing none. I'd accept a motion to approve the minutes.
Motion to approve the minutes of March 18th, 2025.
Second.
Okay, who seconded?
McCormick.
Okay, all right, thanks, Sean. Any discussion on the minutes? Hearing none. Mark White.
White, aye.
Michael Toops.
Michael Toops, aye.
Than Stuntz.
Stuntz, aye.
Stefano Caprera.
Stefano Caprera, aye.
And Sean McCormick, did I ask you already?
McCormick, aye.
Okay, and Mark Barbadoro, aye. Okay, by my clock, it is now 7:35, and I believe that's the time for our public hearing. Let me just pull up the agenda. Okay, in accordance with Mass General Law, Chapter 40A, Boxborough Zoning Bylaws, Section 4.3.3, Non-Conforming Uses and Structures, 2.2, Board of Appeals, and 2.3, Special Permits. The Boxborough Zoning Board of Appeals will conduct a public hearing on Tuesday, April 15th, 2025 at 7:35 p.m. to review the application for a special permit submitted by Stamsky and McNary, Inc. on behalf of their client, property owner Robert Dowdy. The applicant seeks to tear down two existing non-conforming structures and construct a new dwelling. Is the applicant here today?
My name is Paul Kirchner from Stamsky and McNary, representing the property owner.
Oh, hi. So feel free to begin your presentation, and Alec, could you let the applicant share his screen if he wants to?
Absolutely, Paul. I've promoted you and Monty both to co-host so you can share your screen as needed.
Great. Thank you very much. So like I said, but for the record, my name is Paul Kirchner from Stamsky and McNary. We're the engineers and surveyors for this project here on behalf of the applicant, Robert Doty. I got the powers now, so I'm seeing people in the waiting room. Sorry about that. I am going to share my screen because I think it's a little bit easier to talk about it if we're looking at it together. We submitted a special permit application to permit the construction of a dwelling to replace the existing dwelling at 70 Summer Road. What I have on the screen before you right now is the wetland permitting plan. We did initially engage with the Conservation Commission, but were advised to approach the Board of Appeals to pursue a special permit to allow for the construction of this new house within the front yard setback. So the existing dwelling is on the left-hand side here, is within the front yard setback, 27.3 feet from the edge of the Summer Road right-of-way. There's also an existing detached garage within that front yard setback, and the entirety of that structure is actually within the front yard at a minimum of 12.5 feet away from the front property line. There are wetlands located to the rear of the dwelling that project a 100-foot buffer zone onto the property, which I know is not typically the concern of the Board of Appeals, but it really is the reason that we're here today. So, well, as I said, the house and the garage are in the front yard setback, but in reconstructing this dwelling, replacing it with a new one, meeting the front yard setback, the minimum of 40 feet, is complicated because it puts us within the jurisdiction of the Conservation Commission. So we submitted a plan showing this house, the proposed house, as I'm circling here, located further back on the lot with more of the structure located within the buffer zone. But due to limitations of the wetland bylaw and rules and regulations of the town of Boxborough, we were advised to push it forward and come before you. So this house, as shown, is 27.3 feet away from the front lot line. That matches the existing condition of the existing house. You can see that the footprint of this proposed house does overlap with the existing detached garage slightly. And the reason for positioning this house as such is that the intent of the homeowner is to remain in this house during construction, build the new house, move in, tear the old house down. So we did submit a special permit application because we feel that this is not an increase in the nonconformity. The existing house is 27.3 feet away. The proposed house is 27.3 feet away. So we feel that a special permit is appropriate, even though this is a new structure, because it does qualify, in our opinion, as reconstruction of a non-conforming structure. Just for a little bit of background, Robert Dowdy, the owner of the property, he bought this house in May of 1965, so we're about a month short of 60 years that he's been in the house. The intent with building a new house is to provide a space where he can that is conducive to him aging in place. Single story is the intent. We did not provide architectural plans, or have not yet provided architectural plans for the proposed house, but anticipate doing so in the near future. Since we submitted the special permit application, we have spoken with Bob about the intent of this proposed house, and he has engaged with an architect. So we do anticipate some change potentially to what we've shown on the plan here. However, we really wanted to get before the board, even though we know that these plans will change, because we feel that it is critical that this be addressed quickly. The house is in a state of disrepair. I mean, as I understand it, the heat isn't working effectively, and it is an old house. So gutting it and bringing it up to modern building code just really isn't feasible. The only option here really is to replace the house with a new one, build it to modern standards, and also, conducive to what Bob needs, how Bob needs a house to serve him. So really what we're looking for tonight is input on the general application, maintenance of the front yard setback, confirmation that a special permit is appropriate for this property and any other thoughts that the board may have. But before the end of the hearing this evening, I do intend to request that this item be continued to the next meeting so that we can shore up our plans. But like I said, this really needs to be done soon because this house is not in good condition. So we didn't want to withdraw or continue out any further than was needed. We wanted your input. So if you have any questions, please let me know. Thank you.
So before I open it up to the board, I just want to let everybody who's not familiar with the ZBA, what our typical practice is that we let the presenters present, and then the board is allowed to ask questions, interrupt the presenter. They get their questions satisfied with the presenter. Then we open it up to the general public, and you guys can comment on it if you have questions about the design or the proposal, or you have concerns. You can express them at that point. So everybody who would like to is going to get an opportunity to speak. But right now, it's up to the board. And I'm just going to also begin to say, because I went out with Alec and the one member of the ConsCom to talk about this site. And so I can relate to the board what I heard from the ConsCom, which was that they were concerned about the reconstruction not being further in their encroachment. And I told that ConsCom member that we're concerned about not encroaching on the front yard setback, and you can't violate the side and rear because they're already in conformance with that. But the front, that they're too close to the street now, they can get no closer is what I kind of told them. I also told them that this board decides what happens, not one member of the board. So they're fully advised that our discussion was, in general terms. So with that in mind, Mr. Presenter, could you just show the 100-foot buffer line as it goes through the existing dwelling and the 100-foot buffer line as it goes through the proposed with your cursor?
Yeah, I'm actually going to try to draw a line here. Actually, let me use a different color so that we can kind of differentiate a little bit. So this is the 100-foot buffer. I'm not tracing it perfectly, but pretty close.
So the idea here was that, and I don't want to put words in your mouth, but you basically, this new building is going to have no more structure in the wetlands buffer than the original did, pretty much. And it's going to be no closer to the street than the original was. And the accessory garage was closer, but you're going to maintain the principal dwelling setback.
Exactly, yes. And the line I just drew is my attempt to trace the front yard 40-foot setback.
And you are, in your application, you told us about the 100% increase, and that you have calculations that indicate that, your future plans will not increase the structure beyond our maximum.
Correct, yes.
Okay. Board, any questions? Mark.
Michael put his hand up first. So.
Oh, I'm sorry. I only see you. Let me see if I can figure out why. Oh, Michael, sorry about that.
No problem. So the intent is to maintain the setback as set by the original dwelling. Does the accessory garage I'm trying to ask a question for the board, really. Does that set the setback, or is it the main structure that would have set the setback? I'm trying to remember the rules, especially since this predates the original zoning by quite a while, if I remember correctly. Over.
So I don't know if to me, when I thought about it, Michael, I guess this might be part of our deliberation process, but when I was thinking about it at the site, I was thinking that the accessory structure is encroaching even further, but since they're proposing to build a principal dwelling, I was suggesting that they maintain the principal dwelling setback. And also, I didn't feel very comfortable having a house that close to the street because the garage is quite close, and a dwelling would be quite a bit larger. So, but that was my thinking. I don't know what the bylaw says. If someone else has an idea on the board,
Yeah, I don't know the answer offhand on that. I was just wondering, given the wetlands buffer and so forth, if I wouldn't necessarily recommend it going all the way to where the garage currently is, because that's right on the road. But if there was some room there, that might make the various boards happier if it shifted a little further forward. But if obviously maintaining the existing dwelling setback clearly is a safe request. I'll put it that way.
Okay, thanks, Michael. Mark?
Thanks, Mark. So it's not really a question. I guess it's just a comment. I mean, to speak to Michael's, my understanding is that it would be the setback for the primary dwelling, not the accessory, that we would try and maintain. And the fact that they've done it, and in fact, if my understanding is correct, they originally thought to put it back further in order to try and comply with the 40-foot setback, but that put them more into wetlands, and so we're kind of each side is going to have to kind of give a little bit. So if Conscom is okay with this layout, I don't see any reason why we couldn't be okay, because they've not more than doubled the size of the existing dwelling and the expansion of the new, and they haven't increased the non-compliance of the setback. And that's kind of, and this is a lot that, I mean, I've seen it for years, but he's pretty much boxed in. I mean, there's not a lot of choices here where he can go. So I think this is pretty straightforward for us.
I tend to agree. Thanks, Mark. Sean?
Thanks, Mark. I was just going to say this is a tricky site, and I think they've done a really nice job at balancing the competing interests. I mean, they're not making the sort of net result is going to be actually the setbacks will be improved. So, I mean, I think this is a really good I think it's a good example of balancing competing interests and coming up with a plan that's pretty smart.
I agree. Dan?
My question is sort of what happens to the car parking? Is that going to be where the garage is? Is that going to be on the side? How will that work? I'd love to see it. Not this one if you're thinking about it, but next one, is there going to be another garage? I know if he's older, a garage is kind of nice. Living without one is kind of a pain, as I do. But so if there is a garage, where would that be? Or where would the driveway and parking be? Would it be where the old one is, or would it be closer to the house?
Can you outline the garage? I can see it on the footprint.
Where I don't see it on the footprint itself. I see the old garage, but not the new one.
Yeah, he's gonna outline it for you.
Okay, cool. Oh, the garage is underneath that part of the house.
Yeah.
Okay.
It is part of the house. So the intent is to provide a garage. Like I said, we're going to be submitting some revised plan. So the layout might change, but it will incorporate a garage.
Okay, and so then the driveway would be in about the same place it is before, unless that light pole needed to change.
Exactly, yeah. And that light pole is just like, it's not a utility pole. It's just a yard light. So that shouldn't be an issue,
okay.
But we will have that squared away.
Okay.
I beg your pardon. Sorry, Than, go ahead.
I was going to say that, I mean, I think that this is a great, as Sean said, the great compromise of different competing interests, and you've got, covered a bunch of stuff, so it's awesome.
A question for Alec. I forgot to check this before, but this definitely looks like a road that's old enough to be a scenic road, and there are stone walls on it. Is this a scenic road?
I can pull that up real quick and check. If you want to continue with your meeting, I can have an answer in about 5 minutes.
Okay, thanks. Any other comments from the board or questions? Yeah, okay. Michael, go ahead.
No, I was just going to make the comment. It's already been said by the board. Certainly, this is a proposal that we could work with. I'm assuming there's no nuances that about building one structure before we raise the next. That hopefully we don't have any codicils that would cause trouble there. But I do like the proposal that seems to be reflecting as much of the needs of the desires of the community as possible. Over.
Thanks, Michael. Alec?
Interestingly enough, Summer Road is not listed on your approved set of scenic roads, so it is not subject to a special permit or scenic road permit in this case.
Even better. Okay, then. So I was chatting with the property owner who's on the call right now, and he suggested that he might be building a ranch that might help him age in place, having a first floor master and whatnot. Is that still the plan? I'm just curious. I'm gonna go with the Bridget. You probably have a lot of information about this, but I'm gonna ask the presenter or Robert if he's still on the call.
Brigitta is actually she's the architect, so she can
she is
best answer this project. Yep.
Oh, okay. Well, then go ahead.
Okay, great. Hi, my name is Brigitte Steeners, Inkstone Architects from Concord, and we came newly to the project, so we were not involved in the initial planning, and that's why I was not on as a presenter. But I do know a lot about what Mr. Dowdy would like to build, and we talked a lot about it. And my interest, of course, is giving him a healthy, safe house to build, and making it as a smoothly process as possible. So I'm very delighted to hear from the board that you see it also as a very good compromise between the two boards where we place the house. In terms of the garage, so and coming back to your point of what is going to be built, so yes, a ranch building, a bit of a porch, but pretty much only 1.5 stories max, so nothing big, about the same square footage what was in there before, just with a little bit more comfort because the house did not get upgraded in that time. Mr. Dowdy lived in there, and structurally it is simply was not savable. It was it partly has 2x4s for the structure and so on. So the decision was wise to get him to a comfortable house, to erase it and also keep it as long, and then to live there until the new one is built. From a style, it will be a ranch house, most likely, so very well fitting into the neighborhood. I had one question for you, which I talked about with the owner for safety reasons, because Summer Road is somewhat a busy street. It's not too busy, but backing out and such can be kind of cumbersome. How would you feel if the garage entrance, kind of at the same location, but would come from the side? So you would not go straight from the street into the garage, but you would bend in basically from the side. We would not go over the 100 buffer zone line, but I just want to get how you would feel if it would be from the side, if that would be an issue.
I personally don't see that as an issue at all. In fact, I think it might be a safer approach given the proximity to the street.
That was the thinking, that it is a safer driveway, gives a little bit more room to play with. This could be built later when the other house is erased if there's not enough space now. But in general, we are looking for that footprint, that we really have this balance. And but as I said, we want to make it as safe as possible for Mr. Dowdy to drive. And that was all my comment, unless you have more questions for me.
I don't. Anybody on the board have questions for the architect? Mark?
Actually, I think that's a great recommendation, is to have it come out the side, because you could have a turn. I mean, I plow my own lot, and this is it's tough to plow a driveway that's from the road straight up to the house. There's no place to put the snow. So if they made the driveway off to one side, you could have a turnout apron, means you could back out of the garage and then come into the roadway head first, and you'd have a way to push the snow back to the edge of the driveway. So I think that's probably a lot smarter. And the grade looks pretty flat there, so
Yeah,
I think that's a great idea.
good. Thank you.
So the proposal is to have the owner live in the house while the new house is under construction. So
Correct.
if this were to be approved by the board, they may be a condition, something to the effect of, no certificate of occupancy in the new dwelling until the old dwelling is demolished. So you can move out and move in or something like that.
Correct. In other cases where we had that, it was we got the certificate of occupancy. For example, if we took the kitchen out, and that it was a non-functioning house, got the certificate until the full demo could take place and being driven away. So it's a question of timing. But yeah, we do understand it has to be unfunctional as a dwelling until the other certificate of occupancy can be given.
Okay. Michael?
Or just to elaborate, I don't think we want to say actually demolished due to a timing issue, but we do need to say that somehow or another, the certificate of occupancy for the old structure is rescinded before the new structure, or at the time the new structure is accepted. But no, I agree with the comments.
That's a good point. Alec?
Mark, if it pleases the board, what I might recommend for that condition is that within 60 days of receiving a temporary certificate of occupancy, the new home, the applicant would be required to demolish the previous dwelling. And so that would give a 60-day period, and then they would apply for final certificate of occupancy following demolition.
That's a good idea. But we don't have a plan right now. All we have is a orange footprint on a plot plan. So what do we want to do next? Do we the CONSCOM? Alec, can you just tell us about the CONSCOM for a minute? They're midway through their process there, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So the Conservation Commission did discuss the ZBA application at their most recent meeting at the start of the month of April. They have entertained a continuance of this notice of intent public hearing until May 6th to provide the Zoning Board of Appeals ample time to meet with the applicant, discuss the measures being taken, and strategize a potential permit. While the Conservation Commission, and I always advise them not to take public stances on things when a public hearing's open on the same property. So while they haven't speculated whether one option is preferable or the other, I do feel comfortable saying that from a statutory standpoint, this proposal is more compliant with the Wetlands Protection Act, and the board can surmise from there how the Conservation Commission would feel overall regarding this new proposal. The Conservation Commission won't hear this application again until May 6th, and you do have a meeting scheduled for April 29th. So you could take this to another meeting without the Conservation Commission even having heard the application before.
We have a draft decision ready. I know our board doesn't like to hold people up when we can help it.
I don't have a decision ready to go tonight. I am drafting findings and conditions as we're talking through this application here. But I defer to the board's expertise if you want to go through these right now, if you want me to prepare something for April 29th.
Well, I was saying, could we have a draft decision at April 29th that we could just approve on the spot? Then we'd still be ahead of the CONSCOM and make them the bad guys instead of us. So
yes, most certainly.
Michael.
I guess the only question I have is to what extent the board would like the future plans or footprint to be fleshed out a little more, though I think conceptually this looks great. Do they need to get a little further along in the planning process as far as the particular design, before we move forward? Are we willing to, basically give the footprint and then come back? Well, if there's minor changes, basically come back to the board and accept the minor changes, or do we wait until they get things a little closer? Maybe clearly, I think we probably want to wait till the next meeting and the architects and stuff get a chance to flush out how this is going to lay out. But obviously, this looks good so far. Over.
I agree with most of that, Michael. Which is, we could theoretically get, if the architect is ready, get floor plans and an elevation or two or three or four, and have it at the 29th, and then also have our draft decision ready at the 29th. And if it lines up, that's okay. Then the applicant can move forward. We could vote at that and settle it that night if possible, if it all works out. I personally would like more than just the orange line, because the architect, I think by the next meeting, the footprint may change slightly, because they need to make the shape of the house attractive, and it might involve some jogs here or there or other things. So I'd like to see the finished product, and I think might help the ConsCom out too, though that's not our primary goal. But Mark.
Yeah, I guess the game here is the ConsCom wants to know how we feel about the setback. So basically, they're kind of sending them to us first to see if we're okay with maintaining the current 27-foot setback. And if the answer is yes, then I would say that then it goes back to the ConsCom and they can approve it. And if it moves left or right, I don't think any of us is going to really have much to say about it. And I would defer to the ConsCom as to left or right where it gets located, although looks to me like if they moved a little bit right, it would help with that driveway coming in the side like we talked about. But I guess I'd defer to them as long as they are okay with our look at 27.3 feet. I mean, that's our, that and the square footage are the two things that we're looking for. And I think as long as they maintain that, then they're pretty much guaranteed an okay on this. And then basically having the plans just immortalizes that, and it gives the architect something to work with. So
you have the existing dwelling on one side, and you have the septic tank and leaching field on the other. So they can't shift it too much, but
it would be a little bit, right.
By next meeting, they can have it fleshed out. And then if ConsCom says, no, we want it 2 feet to the left or whatever, I mean, right. I don't see a problem. I'm assuming I know you did, Mark. Most of us have driven by and seen that lot. It's very long, yeah. And it's a fairly large, substantial lot. It's really the setbacks are the issue, the front setback, and they're nowhere near encroaching on the other two. So I don't have a problem from a safety perspective. There's, the road is nice and straight, and the lot is reasonably level, though where the leaching field is proposed, it's the high point of the lot. I don't see a big deal moving it 5 feet or 10 feet in either direction, as long as the ConsCom's good with it and it doesn't impact the leaching field. So
I guess should we do? So send it back to them, and I mean, they don't need a decision from us, do they, Alec? They just need a.
So I think the timing works out well enough. I think Mark Barbadoro has alluded to this already, but your next meeting does fall before the Conservation Commission opens back up the public hearing. The Conservation Commission is not meeting between now and your next meeting, and so you'll have the opportunity to take action before it even makes it back to them. I should also note the Conservation Commission has only seen this proposed plan in the context of a routing sheet for the ZBA application. I think the applicant is waiting to wrap up your process prior to submitting revisions to the Conservation Commission. What I will also note is that what is shown here is significantly more compliant with the Wetlands Protection Act than the previous submission, which did show the home located 40 feet from the public right-of-way.
Does the board have any more questions for the applicant or comments for the applicant? Okay, hearing none, I'm going to open up to public comment. If there's any members of the public who would like to speak, please feel free to raise your hand. You're muted, Alec.
Mark, I see a WD wire. I've allowed them to unmute themselves.
Yeah, I
Okay,
did.
thank you.
I don't understand all of it. However, I live over to the other side of the leaching fields. And is there any review of how effective the leaching fields would be to prevent things to enter the groundwater, because we have wells just on the other side of the stone wall?
That's a great question, and the engineer is probably the best one to answer it. Could I get your name for the record, sir?
Sure, Wayne Dwyer, D-W-Y-E-R.
Thanks, Wayne. Yeah, could you tell us about that? The well is, I can see it's over 100 feet away, but could you talk a little bit about the fact that is the leaching field a risk to Wayne's well?
In short, no. So that is the closest well is shown on this plan. There are other wells on that adjacent development, but the requirement is that we show wells within 150 feet of the proposed system. So this is the only one that's within 150 feet. Further, the Title V requirement is that wells be 100 feet, or I should say that leach fields must be a minimum of 100 feet from a private well, which, as you can see, we have the 100-foot well radius shown here, so we do exceed that requirement. This system, as shown, we did produce a separate sewage disposal plan that provides detail on the construction of the septic system. That, although we have not received a formal approval from the Board of Health, I did see in the meeting documents that Jim Gareffi, the Neshoba agent, has concluded his review on this and said that it will be approved shortly. So in short, it is all in compliance with Title V, the Boxborough Board of Health rules and regulations as it relates to setbacks, adequate level of treatment, appropriate sizing. It fully complies, so it will protect the adjacent well. Thank you.
So I still don't know. I think there are different levels of porousness in terms of the filtering vertically, and they haven't. How would I know, just from my general information, just going forward, what type of system would that type of information be available? Or is it just one standard type? Or
Wayne,
because the Board of Health could approve it. However, there might be different levels of effectiveness that all fall under approval, and some of them could be better than others. And I just didn't know. Just curious.
Thanks, Wayne. So, Paul, could you talk about that? Is there going to be a mound there? Is it what do you know what the perk rates, the perk test outcome were? Is it going to be a standard system? Yeah,
so this is a very typical sewage disposal system, septic system. I personally conducted the soil testing, so I'm as familiar as anyone with the soil conditions out here. So as you can see, it might be a little hard to see, but We dug 5 test pits, ran 2 perk tests. There is a substantial amount of fill in this area. I believe in one of the pits, the fill was as deep as 8 feet. But underneath this fill is really good sand, so it drains well. So our perk rates are less than 2 minutes per inch. Now, because the perk rate is less than 2 minutes per inch, which is as low as it gets, the required groundwater offset is increased. So for a slower perk rate, a 4-foot offset to high groundwater is required. But in this particular case, a 5-foot offset to groundwater is required, and that's to account for the fast rate at which water is capable of moving through the soil. This test pit right here, furthest to the left as you look on the plan, was actually the only test pit where we saw any evidence of potential high groundwater. It was very close to the bottom of the pit. You can see that we do have some minor proposed grading here. So it's not a significant mound, although it is slightly mounded. I mean, once they build this, you won't be able to tell that it's a septic system because it's such a subtle change in the grade. But we have lifted it up a little bit. These other 4 test pits, we didn't see anything. So, what was observed in this test pit on the left here could have indeed been high groundwater. It could also have been a perched water table in a relatively small area, localized condition because it's on top of a large boulder or something like that. So in any case, this system has a greater offset to high groundwater than most systems because it is increased because we have that less than 2 minute per inch perk. And also, where the system's actually proposed, I believe that groundwater is probably even deeper than what we use for design. So there is a significant depth of soil that the treated effluent will have to move through before it actually reaches the water table. Lastly, in terms of the actual construction of this system, it is very standard. We have a 1,500 gallon dual compartment septic tank, as is typical. That's going to a leach field that it's conventional trenches, so it's typical pipe and stone. So we're certainly not proposing any untried technology here. It is exactly what the state and many other states have in mind when they say that you must have a leach field. So this will protect the nearby private drinking wells as well as the wetlands because it is protecting the groundwater due to that offset and the system sizing.
That answer your question, Wayne?
Yes, it seems like they made adjustments for the condition type of soil. So they paid attention to it. So that answered my question. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Sean.
Yeah. Mark, where's the existing Title V system?
We don't know. It is really old. It's somewhere near the house, but we don't know where it is.
So this will definitely be an improvement in terms of pollutants, because I'm sure what it is probably a pit in the ground.
Yeah, it will definitely be a significant improvement over the existing condition. Yes.
Fran, could you just say your full name, please, for the record?
Sure. I'm Fran Spain. I'm one of the abutters. And there is a stone wall along the road from the garage to in front of where the septic and the leach fields will be. That's a very old stone wall, and I know that the existing owner, current owner, has put a lot of other stones on top of it. Wondering what's going to happen with that. It would be nice if it could be restored to the old stone wall appearance, but just a question if that's something that you guys address.
Thanks, Fran. So I actually have the same question because, usually on roads of this vintage, the stone wall is the boundary, but I noticed that your plan the stone wall is the boundary on one side, but it is not on the other side. So is that accurate? Or in other words, can we be assured that the stone wall is going to remain, or is the stone wall going to need to be removed, or what is the story?
So on the right-hand side here, the stone wall is going to remain. There are no plans to alter it in any way. In terms of how it relates to the property line, I mean, it is not the property line, as you can see here. I mean, this plan is certainly accurate. I can actually probably find a plan, the registry plan, showing that I assume shows that stone wall. If you give me a minute here to search. Okay, so this plan is imperfect for our purposes, but this is that adjacent development. Pine Hill Road is over here. So you can see Bob's name is on this plan here. And, you know, it looks like along this stretch, the stone wall, wherever it was before this was built, was never the property line. But, you know, once it gets to Bob's property, you can see it's certainly not the property line there. So it is within the right of way. But in any case, yeah, we're not planning to remove it other than what may be necessary for the construction of the driveway to access the garage.
Fran, do you have any further comment? Oops, could we unmute her?
Yep. Let me just. Yeah, right now that it just looks, part of it looks like just a pile of rocks that maybe Bob put piled up. Wondering if that's going to be cleaned up with a new dwelling.
There are no plans to do that right now.
Okay.
Okay, thanks, Fran.
Yeah.
Wayne?
Right now, it doesn't look like a stone wall as much as a pile of rocks in places. So it'd be nice if it would get cleaned. But
well, I don't know if the board is going to make the applicant make improvements to his property that aren't related to the you know, the special permit. I think you know, that's been there. If he, in other words, if we didn't approve the special permit, the pile of rocks would remain anyway, right? So there's really no change there to the process. So, Wayne, did you have your hand up? Could we unmute Wayne? Oops, try it again, Wayne. Thanks. We can hear you.
There's a shed in the back, and I was just wondering, are they planning to remove that or not? I don't view it out my back windows, but other people do, and one person asked me about that, and I know it's their property and everything, but I was just curious. I think it's a pretty older condition.
Well, we can ask, is there an intention to remove the shed?
Not right now, although we're gonna be considering everything between now and the next time we appear before the board. So that could change, but right now there's no plan to remove the shed.
And the conscom may have something to say about it as well, because it's pretty far into the wetlands buffer, and if it's dilapidated, but maybe you could. So there's going to be other, you know, hearings. There's going to be the conscom, and that's pretty far into their domain there. Michael.
Just along that, if the shed is less than 10 by 10, it doesn't fall under the structures and falls out of the purview of this board, although it could fall possibly under ComScom. So we probably wouldn't have a condition on that based on that, I believe. Over.
Thanks, Michael. Is there any other questions or comments from the audience, the abutters, the neighbors, anyone who's seeking information in town? So does the board think that it's a good path forward to continue this and get floor plans and elevations, and get a fresh plot plan if the footprint changes, which I have a feeling it will probably slightly. If we can just go to the next hearing, we have one scheduled anyway for another case. Then we can evaluate it and potentially vote on it at that time if it all works out, if it all times out. Sean.
Yeah, thanks, Mark. I think that's the right move. I don't know that we would be in a position to approve it without a final footprint. And then I would say that I think that the elevations are probably less important than the footprint.
Thanks, Sean. Bob, do you want to make a comment? This is your hearing after all. Oh, can we unmute Bob? Oh, there you go.
Hello.
Hey, Bob.
Yeah, there was an interesting comment about the old hen house in the back there. It had been my goal to clean that all up. The problem is that you need to be able to get to it with some machinery. It goes back to when we bought the property, and it's just old. My plan was to take it down and clean it all up.
Well,
anything else?
No, you didn't even. I was just wondering if you had any information you wanted to provide, but it sounds like you're gonna make your neighbors happy if you take the old shed down. So that sounds like a win-win for everybody. So,
well, there was an interesting comment as to there's a cesspool that's just directly behind the house.
So that's where it's all getting deposited now. Okay.
Yep, and everything in the property, it goes back into the 1930s, and it was poorly built. It was started as a cottage, and they had a outhouse and a pump. When they put the well in, the well is in under the porch. People can't even believe it. It's 3 inches of poured reinforced concrete over the top of it. You can't even rebuild it.
Gotcha. Okay.
It's
Thanks,
just
Bob.
an old house in poor shape.
All right, time to upgrade. So,
yeah.
Okay, so everybody knows what they need to do. You guys, the architect needs to do some plans. The surveyor needs to put the new plan footprint on the plan at the proposed location that they're going to present to the CONSCOM and to us. And we'll reconvene. And Alec, what's the date of that? It's the 29th?
Yes, you are scheduled to meet on April 29th, and you have another hearing scheduled at 7:35 p.m. So you would couch this continuation for 7:45 p.m.
Okay. Bridget?
I have a very quick question for the process. So if this is in 2 weeks, obviously, and we also have a holiday in between. So the question is, how many days prior to the hearing do you need to have it submitted? Probably more question for Alec. Our drawings, or can we come with these drawings and present on the next hearing?
The board's packet needs to be posted the Friday before the meeting, and so the board would look for any revised documents no later than Friday, April 25th.
Friday, April 25th. Okay. All right. Whew. All right.
Better get cracking.
Better get to work. All right. We try our best.
Okay, so everybody knows what they need to do, and we're going to do if the board wants, we'll continue this to the April 29th at 7:40 p.m. Someone want to make the motion?
So move.
Second.
Okay, moved by Mark, seconded by Michael. Any discussion? Okay, hearing none. Sean McCormick,
McCormick, aye.
Dan Stuntz, I think we might have lost him.
No, he's there. There he is.
Dunn's eye.
Okay, Stefano.
I was trying to find the mute button.
Stefano Capera, aye.
And Mark White.
White eye.
And Mark Barbadoro, aye.
And
Okay,
Michael
thanks a
Toops,
lot.
aye.
Oh, and Michael Toops, aye. Thanks, Michael.
Thank you all.
Okay. Thank you very much. We'll see you on the 29th. And all right, moving on. We have one item left on the agenda, and I have no updates at this time for the rules and regs. Does anyone else have updates on rules and regs? I think we left it. I was going to try and clean it up, and I haven't done anything. Alec.
I will note, so ahead of your last meeting, while we didn't take up the rules and regs on the 18th, Sean did contact me with some more information regarding a use variance. Sean, you wrote an email dated the 18th of March, 7:25 p.m. Use variance, a variance that authorizes a use or activity not otherwise permitted in the district in which the land or structure is located. I might have presumed that that was the intent, was to have that included as a definition for use variance within the rules and regulations.
If I remember correctly, it was so long ago.
For now, why don't I
But I
leave
think
that?
that's right. We had gone through and we had noticed that the definition wasn't really a definition. And so we said, well, we should put in a definition, but none of us could come up with one off the top of our head.
So did we send that to everybody? Does everybody have a copy of it? Okay.
Last copy was delivered on March 4th, 2025.
Okay, so yeah, it's something to think about for our next meeting. If anybody has comments about our new definition, whether we should adopt it or not. And then in the meantime, I'll try and look at that freaking rules and regs again and try and go do some spell check on it and whatnot. So if there's nothing else, we can all get the hell out of here.
I'd make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Okay, any discussion? Hearing none. Stefano Caprera.
Aye.
Michael Toops.
Michael Toops, aye.
Mark White.
White eye.
Dan Stunt.
Dunn's eye.
Who am I missing?
McCormick, aye.
And Mark Barbadoro, aye. Awesome. All right.